makes me think about why we call ourselves peer guides.
Yes.
That really brings me to that concept that we came up with of we're not considering ourselves necessarily spiritual teachers.
Right.
Not to say that we're not per se, but like that's not the angle that we're coming at this, because we're on this journey with you. Like we're figuring this crap out too. It's not, we're talking about these theories as if they are black and white, but I hope that you're getting from this, any of the viewers, anybody in the audience, that you're really getting from this is that this is just our framework for thinking about these things, and that no, we don't have it fleshed out. We've probably been down this road or that road, maybe you haven't, and we can help you with that. But the thing with like a peer educator or a peer tutor, they're in the same class you're in. And so we're in the same class you're in. Yeah. We don't know what's happening really. We may have gone over this material once or twice. We may have even failed this class a couple times. Okay. Okay. And so, yeah, this is where we're at.
Right. Yeah. When we talked about that, I love how we just had like this immediate meeting of the minds where I don't know how it came up, but we just knew that we were not going to put ourselves as these great guru leaders, at any point in this journey, because I know I can speak from my perspective, and I've told you this, several times, where I have seen people who were leaders who have kind of fallen and gone through challenges. And I'm sitting up here like, well, this person has done all the rituals. They did every new moon and full moon ritual. They used all the crystals. They used all the essential oils. They called on the guides. They did all of these things. They affirmed. They were positive. You know what I mean? They wrote it in the in the air. They wrote it on the wall on large pieces of paper, and so on and so forth, their affirmations, their vision for their life. And some of those people lives still fell apart. And it's not to judge them. It's not to criticize or ostracize or put them on in any sort of negative light. It's just, I realized that they were still learning too. And the thing about it is they were learning in front of the world. Some of these lessons you could get away with kind of like behind the scenes. Nobody don't know. You had to take that class. I remember when, there were certain classes that were like in the basement, you know what I mean? Like every class is not up on, the first floor, the second, third floor, or whatever the case may be. And that's okay. Some lessons are learned, a lot of lessons are learned behind the scenes, but when it comes to, being in the public eye, you're going to go through these lessons. People are going to see, and you're going to have to show your humanity, your humanness, so that you are still going through it just like everyone else. And so that's why I have the thought process of making sure that I'm remaining humble and I'm remaining cognizant of the fact that I may be in a different class at this time, different grade level, whatever the case may be, but it's not above or beyond anybody else when it comes to, Earth School per se, because I could go back and have to learn a first grade lesson maybe in relationships. I may have to go back and learn that because I got, wherever I was and thought that, or whatever slipped through the cracks, is no judgment whatsoever. But yes, we are going through this journey, and, we want to make sure that we are being realistic about that and making sure that we are not putting ourselves above or below anybody. We're walking with you.
Yeah. We're real people. We're going to fall. You're going to stumble. There's going to be a day when, you're not so nice, when you're reacting rather than responding. Like I think it's really important to understand that, and to not condone behavior, continuing behavior, but also have compassion for the human. And it doesn't mean that person isn't growing, isn't changing, isn't spiritual. You can be a spiritual person and still screw up. You can be a spiritual person and still have a bad ego day. Yeah. Any female who gets PMS knows this.
Listen, it, sometimes it happens to the best of us, you know?
You snap out on somebody and then you go, "Woo, I
Yeah.
was not being my best self just then. I'm so sorry," and having the humility to apologize and to try to make amends and to be authentic with it, because I used to be more like in the ego about stuff like that. I would get PMS, cuss somebody out and be like, well, then you shouldn't have been messing with me. Like, you knew. But now it's more like, okay, maybe what you did or whatever wasn't right, but my reaction was wrong. And I apologize for that, for my reaction. And there's got to be a better way for us to deal with this. Do I do that every time? No. But I'm working towards that, you know what I mean? That better response, that better reaction. Again, this is all school. It's all lessons. It's lessons on loving, it's lessons on connectedness, it's lessons on our oneness and remembering that oneness. And yeah, I'm glad we got to this topic of us being pure guides and why we really call ourselves that, because it's really important that our viewers understand where we're coming from when we say that. Like, we're on this journey. Teach me something. If there's something that that I am like not aware of, I'm all for put it in the comments, link to it, tell us where to look for more. Got a book you want me to read? Put it in the comments. We're learning just like you are.